Today, in this video, let's take a look at narrative forms lesson. Okay, let's take a look at narrative forms. What is the narrative forms? So narrative. First, let's talk about narrative. What is a narrative? A narrative is a description of past event. So you simply can how to say that. Remember that narrative form is when we say narrative form, we have to use past tense, especially these three tenses here. The past tense, we use the past simple, and we use past continuous, and we use past perfect. So when we want to talk about the events that happened in the past, so let's take a look at the first one, past simple. We use past simple for the main events in the story, for the main events in the story, and we use past continuous for the background events in the story. Then we use past perfect for the events that happened before one of the main events or that happened before the time of the story. Okay, so first let's take a look at past simple. When we use past simple, that two form that you have to know is regular verb form and irregular verb form. Some of the verbs are regular verb form. When you use past them, you just simply, when you want to make past simple verb form, you just simply add ed at the end of the these regular verbs here, like that one, and just add ed for the past to make past simple tense. But some of the irregular verbs are like you use to different spelling, make and made is different words. Okay, so this is irregular verb form. So let's take a look at this example for the main event. We wanted to leave early the next morning, so we went to bed at 10 p.m. Okay, so we wanted to leave. So what happened yesterday? So they wanted to leave early in the next morning. They wanted to leave early, so they went to bed at 10 p.m. Okay, next, there's one event here. Okay, next, something made a loud noise. So what happened? Something made a loud noise, maybe yesterday or last night. Okay, so okay, now let's stop from for the past simple. Let's continue. This is the main event here. So the next, past continuous. We use past continuous for background events, so we also use it for longer actions interrupted by the shorter events. So let's take a look at these two example sentences here. She was sitting in a corner of the room. She was sitting in the corner of the room. So where is she sitting? She's sitting in the corner of the room. Okay, so it's like you can say the background events. I will explain a little bit in detail after in the later part of the video. Differences between the background events, main events, like that. Okay, now let's just focus on this. They were having dinner when the phone rang. So they were having dinner when the phone rang. So these two examples here. The first example, wanna talk about the background events. The background events, what's happening in that room, like that. Okay, and she was sitting in the corner of that room. This is what's happening. But next example is they were having dinner when the phone rang. Is the action that happened for like the longer action. They are having dinner. The phone run is shorter events, shorter action. So they have made, like for example, they had been like having dinner since 9, and now it is 9:30, and the phone just run. The phone only run in short periods. The phone run at a time. So they stay having dinner, then interrupted by the action of phone run. So in this activity, for these events, this kind of events, we usually use past continuous. Okay. Next, past perfect. Past perfect is used for events that happened before one of the main events, or that happened before the time of the story. Anything. It happened before something. Past perfect, we use past perfect to describe some events happen before something else, like some other events like that. Okay, just memorize it like that. I'll stay, or here is you will just say I had stayed in the same hotel twice before. Say this example is describing like that something happened before the time of the story. Okay, so I had stayed in the same hotel before. That means that twice before. That means this person already had done staying at the hotel, at the same hotel before now, like that. Okay, the twice before now. Okay. Or let's take a look at this example here. We had been on the train for about an hour when it suddenly stopped. So the train stopped. And we had been on the train. So which event happened first? We had been on the train happened first, right? So they had been on the train for an hour, and suddenly the train stopped. So what your focus is, when you want to focus on the an activity that happened before some other action, so use past perfect. But if you want to focus on the activity that is happening for a longer period of time, when a short event is suddenly interrupted, like that. Okay, so we were walking along the beach when we saw someone waving at us. So the activity of walking along the beach is happened before this activity interrupting it. Okay, before they saw someone, the activity of seeing someone interrupted it. It had been happened for a longer period of time already, like that. So use past continuous. Use past continuous to describe this kind of events. So for past simple is just use it to describe main events. So what's the differences between background events and main events? Background event is, for example, let's look at this here. This is a main event, right? I arrived at midnight. So arrived at midnight. And if you continue the sentence like this, I arrived at midnight. At a time, my family were having dinner. What's wrong with my spelling? Okay, wait. Having dinner. So the background event is just want to describe the background, the background of the story. For example, I arrived at the midnight is the main event. At that time, what's happening? At that time, what is the environment look like? The environment is like, for example, this is this person home, right? This is this person home, and he arrived. So the main event is he arrived at midnight. And then when he take a look at the room, what is happening in the room? In the room is that there may be like there's a bookshelf here, and then there will be some people eating here. Some people were eating, having the dinner. Some people were watching TV. Some people were reading books. So this kind of were reading, were having dinner, were eating, or were watching TV. So these are the background events of these arriving here. He arrived here, and this thing happening like that. What is happening in the background of this story, like that? Okay, so to make it more clear, I will like try to explain with another example. For example, last Sunday I was on a picnic. Maybe like I went to the, let's just say the park. You went to the park, went to the park, and in the park, when you arrive there, what do you see? What do you see? If you just say I'm arrived at the park at 9 p.m. and this is your main event, you arrived at the park at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. or like 9 a.m. That's all. That's all, right? But what's happened? What do you see there at the park? What do you see there? Do you know anything about it? No, you didn't know anything. You only know the things arrive, if I say like that, right? But if I continue my story like that, last Sunday I arrived at the park at 9 a.m. I saw the people were some of the family were playing tennis, maybe like the basketball. Some of the children were like flying a kite. Some of the children were some of the let's just say yes, some boys are riding a bicycle like that. So this is the background events of the story, and being arrived at the park is the main event of the story. So I hope now you might be able to understand the differences between background events and main events. Okay. For the past simple, past perfect is very easy, right? So it's just the events that happened before anything like any events in the past. Okay. But how about just take a look at this exercise here together. We went or we go for a walk when we were fishing, or when we were finishing, or we had finished the meal. So which do you think is correct? So here is that you have to choose between the main event and like the past simple and the past perfect. So we had gone for a walk. Do you think this gone for a walk it happened first, or finish the meal happened first? Yes, I think they had finished their meal first, right? And after that, they go for a walk. So that they went for a walk. So the answer is we went for a walk when we had finished the meal. Okay, this is the correct answer. Now let's take a look at the next example here. The sun was shining or had shone. The people sat or the people were sitting on the grass in the park. So how do you think about it? Let's look at the first sentence. The sun was shining or the sun had shone. I think it's the sun was shining, right? So the background events, remember our lesson here. The background events, we use, for the background events, we use past continuous, right? The sun was shining. The people were sitting on the grass in the park. The people were sitting. Yes, of course. The background events. This is the background. All of them, they are not main events. You cannot see what is the main event here. So it's not very clear, right? So it's just like the background of the. I just want to describe the environment. So what's happening, what's going on in the environment. What is the background of the story, like that. Okay, so let's continue. I had been exhausted after a long day at work, so I was going to bed early. So what do you think about it? So the action is going to bed early, going to bed. And do you think this like going to bed happened first, or being exhausted from the work happened first? Of course, they had been exhausted from the work happened first, right? You've been exhausted so that you went to bed early. That's correct. So I hope now you will understand this lesson better. If you have any question, you can ask me anytime. So for today lesson, that's all for today. Thank you. See you next time.